So let's take a closer look at what you've just been practicing in the thinking pair exercise when you were the listener. We talked about this idea of listening to ignite someone else's thinking. In the thinking environment, we call that way of listening generative attention. This idea that because of the quality of your attention and because you were genuinely interested in where the person's thinking was going, your attention actually enabled them to generate their ideas, their thoughts, their solutions for whatever it was that they were thinking about. So I call this the anatomy of generative attention, what it is that we actually have to be doing in order to create that world of fully independent thinking for someone. And what you do when you're offering generative attention is you manage your attention in 3 different places at the same time. And in actual fact, you have to be 100% in each place at the same time, which sounds mathematically impossible. How can I have my attention 100% of the time in 3 different places? But in fact, if you keep practicing this, you'll start to notice that there's this flow between the 3 and that you need to maintain your attention in all 3 at the same time in order to create this experience that the person that has just been listened to by you had. So one of the streams of attention, obviously, is on the content of the thinker's thinking. And when I talk about having your attention on the content of the thinker's thinking, I don't just mean that you were listening to the words that they were saying. You were listening to the words that they were saying, but you were also listening to where their thinking was going. And because we know that the human mind works way faster than the human mouth does, as you were listening to them, there was so much more thinking that they were doing that you didn't hear than the thinking that you did hear. So you're also giving attention to that. You're giving attention to what's happening inside that person as they're thinking and as they're generating their ideas. Now, since the start of today, we've also been talking about how the way we treat each other, the way we are with each other, creates what we call a thinking environment, creates the conditions that enables a person to be able to do their best thinking for themselves. This idea that the way we are with one another creates a thinking environment for each other. And so you also have to have one stream of your attention on how am I being towards this person as I'm listening to them? Am I genuinely interested in their thinking and where it's going? Do I think of them and myself as equal, as thinking peers, despite any hierarchy that may or may not exist between us? Am I at ease with this person? As I listen to them, am I noticing the things that I value about them, the qualities that I have, that they have, that I appreciate? Am I welcoming of their feelings? Am I able to be at ease with their expression of feelings, knowing that the release of feelings enables them to restore their capacity to think well for themselves, and that if they can't release their feelings, that's going to get in the way of them being able to think well for themselves? Am I giving them the courage to go to the cutting edge of their own ideas by continuously moving myself beyond that internal world of judgment and evaluation and analysis and interpretation and assumptions that I might make about them? Am I noticing all of that and letting it go and being more interested that they're getting to go to the cutting edge of their own ideas? Am I interested in whether or not they have the facts and the information that they need in order to be able to do the best job of thinking about what they're thinking about? And if I have information that they need and that they don't appear to have, am I willing to share that freely so as to not hijack their capacity to be able to think well for themselves? Am I welcoming of their difference, embracing of their difference, prioritizing their difference, able to stay interested in what they think even when it's different to what I think? Am I aware of the fact that they might be making untrue limiting assumptions that are holding them back, and able to provide them with incisive questions that enable them to move past those untrue limiting assumptions? And as I listen to them, am I creating a place for them that says back to them, you matter? So there's an enormous amount of work that we're doing. We're doing it silently. We're doing it in the way we're being towards each other. But it's an incredible amount of work that we're doing in order to create this thinking environment. And then each of us, you and I, have also got this stream of awareness that we need to be paying attention to, which I'm going to call the listener's response stream. That's the part of yourself that you're listening to in response to what they're saying. And you have to be noticing that so that it doesn't get in the way. Because generally speaking, our response stream is getting ready to do one of two things. It's either getting ready to take over in the form of interruption, or the other thing that it can do is cause us to drift off and start thinking about something entirely other than what we're actually supposed to be doing, which is listening to the person that we're listening to. And then that person will have that all too common experience of the lights are on, but in fact, no one's home. They're not actually listening to me. Even if they're looking at me and appearing to be interested, I can tell that their attention has drifted off elsewhere. So what we need to do with this stream of attention is stay conscious and aware of it so that we can bring ourselves back to this, and so that we can continue to create a thinking environment for the person that we're listening to. And by occupying this with this and this stream, we start to bring all three streams of attention down into one seamless experience for the person that we're listening to, that of generative attention.